Good evening, everyone. I see a lot of familiar faces coming in. So please message us in the chat. It's always nice to know who's attending and maybe where you're from. That way I know you guys can hear me as well. So that's always nice. Starting a minute early or so, but love to get everybody in, and they're piling in, so that's great. I want to welcome everyone. Thank you for your time this evening. My name is Eddie Alberty. I'm the Vice President of Strategic Partnerships. And we're very fortunate to have two veterans, if you will, with Bottom Line Concepts and with the Employee Retention Credit Program. Many of you have met Jason before. We've got Michael Glick with us this evening as well, and be great to hear from him and help answer some questions. So thanks, guys, for joining as well. We appreciate your support and your knowledge, if you will. You guys have been doing this for a while, and it's very appreciative. A lot of familiar faces coming in. This is great. We'll give it a few more minutes because I don't want to start too early. I will say that, the main objective tonight is to educate those of you who are already aware of the ERC program. Maybe you're participating, maybe you're not. We hope that you are. We have a lot of success stories of those unfranchised owners that are already, being successful with this, signing up businesses. The amount of money coming back for a lot of the businesses are great. All the testimonials are wonderful, especially as it relates to helping businesses. So I'll share a few of those here in just a minute. We'll get started. Goldsboro, North Carolina, that's very close to us. Many people get Goldsboro and Greensboro confused that don't know North Carolina. So thanks for joining, Lester. Good evening, Melissa. This is great. Keep it coming. Tonight, I will say too, if you have a question, please use the Q&A. If you use the chat, it's okay. As Jason and Mike are talking, I'll do my best to manage that. And at the end, we definitely want to answer questions. That's really what it's about tonight. Not so much showing a bunch of slides. I won't cover what we've covered in previous webinars. So if you're new as an unfranchised owner or new to hearing about the program that we have with our strategic partner, Bottom Line Concepts, I encourage you to go to the unfranchised, and where we have the ERC program, we have the webinar that we did originally, which will give the framework of what this program is. Certainly happy to cover some of this, but it's really to get into the details as, time is moving along. We have a little bit more time on the ERC program, but we really need to get even more people activated doing it. And those of you that are doing it, we want to help you to go from 1 referral to 20 referrals, and help you with that. So, and keep you motivated, because I think it's great that the success stories that we're having. So I'm going to go ahead and begin. And again, if you have a question, please use the Q&A, or you can also use the chat, and I'll do the best I can to go back and forth. If we don't get to your questions, then we'll follow up afterwards. Many of you know who I am. I'm looking forward to seeing you all at International Convention. Thought it was appropriate to make that the first introduction and the first slide. If you haven't gotten your tickets yet, I really encourage you to do so. Not only will Bottom Line Concepts be there, but we'll have a normal, amazing show with partners that will be there, and also hear from executive management, Mark Ashley, Lauren Reidinger, Steve Ashley, about some great new programs and new things going on with the company. So definitely don't want to miss it. I love the name Icon, and I think it's going to be an iconic event, if you will. So if you haven't got your tickets, please do. And we are running some promotions as well with that. So again, I'll say it again. My name is Eddie Alberty. I'm the Vice President of Strategic Partnerships, and fortunate enough to bring you guys this program, and want to really continue to build upon it, because there's a lot of us, and I'm an unfranchised owner first and foremost, that aren't taking advantage of it. And there's still a lot of businesses out there that could greatly benefit from this type of program. So again, won't cover the preliminary things that we've covered, but it is available. So if you have that need, please message me and I'll show you where that is, and or answer a question, towards the end in the Q&A. So here's some testimonials. I won't necessarily read these word for word, but I thought they were very impactful. It just shows you the magnitude of the program and the ability that you have to earn not only the businesses, the referral, a lot of money back, and they deserve it. They need it. They suffered during COVID, but also a lot of retail profit, business volume, and internet business volume for yourself. And when I say a lot, you'll see how these numbers can add up. So on Friday, received a notification from Bottom Line Concepts that one of my businesses I referred is due over $1 million. First of all, that right there says a lot to me, because that's a business that, took a big hit during COVID. $1 million does a lot for businesses. I'm so grateful that MA partnered with Bottom Line Concepts. It's such an incredible opportunity, bring money back to the small business owner and the communities across the country. This particular business owner is in rural Kansas and help support schools and sports teams, churches, nonprofit fundraisers, and events. So what better business to deserve a refund, if you were, money back? It's such a blessing to be able to bring this extra part to them, thanking the executive team, and making small business owners extremely joyful and blessed. Couldn't say more there. Love the ERC program. Glad you partnered with Bottom Line Concepts. Here's their approach. They basically just simply share it with small businesses that they know or come into contact with. We'll talk about that in a second. Ask for their email and get them, signed up in the scheduler for an appointment to do the evaluation. 15 minutes. It's not a lot or too much, should I say, to ask of a business owner to potentially reap the rewards of getting a significant amount of money back. So again, trustworthy partner with Bottom Line Concepts. They're reliable, makes it a smooth process. Again, another great testimonial to our partner and the quality that they're going to take care of the businesses that you refer in. Basically the same thing. Pleasure to contact local small businesses. I like this one because their first response is that I'm probably not eligible for the RC. How many times have we heard that? How many times have we heard Jason say that, And oftentimes they may be, and you really need a qualified company with experience to be able to do that evaluation. And we have that in our partner, Bottom Line Concepts. If they answer no, but if they inquire, it's a maybe. It also brings a smile to me when I received the email from the project manager. It says, and I quote, "We are pleased to announce my referral is due to receive an employee retention credit of $142,000. It's a significant amount of money. What a joy to help my friends who own small businesses." I like this one. First and foremost, if you're a business owner that was affected during COVID, or potentially, you need to look into this. Here is a similar situation. It was her husband's restaurant. They previously had enrolled in ERC in the fourth quarter of 2020 through working with their payroll company. But when they had originally applied, our payroll company said that they weren't eligible to apply for the PPP period, which I'll let the professionals speak to that. But as I understand it, that's the way it used to be, and it changed significantly. So anyway, getting into the details, Bottom Line Concepts did the evaluation. They figured out, hey, what do we have to lose? There's probably some money left on the table. Let's go through the process. Bottom Line Concepts said they were eligible to receive money. And, they were very professional, thorough, and swift in applying for us. They started this process in March of 2023, just a few months ago, and they received 2 checks from the IRS in July of 2023, just recently. $85,000 in ERC money. That particular one, we have many more like that their businesses are starting to get the checks. What does that mean for you? It means that once the business receives their money, they pay Bottom Line Concepts. Bottom Line Concepts is going to pass Market America check, and we're going to start the rewards process, which I'll get into in just a minute. But before doing so, I just want to show how significant the rewards can be for those of you that don't know. So, briefly, what I saw in those testimonials is that they simply share the referral link. Keep in mind, it needs to be businesses with 5 employees up to 500. That's the sweet spot. We'll get into some of those questions if you have them, W-2, 1099. We've answered a lot of those repeatedly, but some of you may have that same question. I don't know if this statistic has probably changed, but there's still a lot of businesses. I know that number 84% may have changed, but it's very high. There's still a lot of money out there to be had by businesses that were affected during COVID. So don't feel like, oh, it's over, I missed the boat. We still have a good push here, and I'll let Jason and Michael talk about that. So again, as a reminder, here are some of the most relevant industries for ERC. And I remember when I was first starting to look at this, Josh, their CEO, told me, think of everywhere you spend money, just on a daily basis. Start there. And here's a good list. And it opened my eyes. I never thought a dentist office would be maybe a probable candidate. And Jason's mentioned before on webinars, it's a very good candidate. So again, just an idea of some of the relevant industries. We covered this once before, but again, I just want to high level it. This is on average. You saw the one merchant or business that I mentioned in the first testimonial, over $1 million. So again, it's going to vary, but on average, Bottom Line Concepts gets an average of about $250,000 back for a business. It's a lot of money. They collect approximately, and I want to make sure I can make that clear because it really depends on how many employees they have, whatever the Bottom Line Concepts negotiates with the business, because it can vary, maybe 20%, 25%, whatever it may be, but it's approximately 20%. So we're just using some rough numbers. They're going to get $50,000. And on average, if our partner earns that much, here's what you would get off that referral. Again, high level numbers, but at 4% retail profit, 2,000 cash, 10% BV, which is 5,000 BV. And what we've never done before is also do IBV on the same transaction from a partner or strategic partner. But you're also going to earn 10% IBV, which is another 5,000 IBV. Now, Michael and Jason aren't as familiar with our compensation plan, but for all you that are on the call, and I'm an unfranchised owner, you know this as well as anybody, 5,000 BV, 5,000 IBV, you're earning some checks there too. So it's great. And your organization is benefiting from it. And that volume can be placed. So that's only one referral. Here's what it looks like for 3 referrals. Again, not going to read these off, but the numbers significantly increase. And that's what I want to try to get across tonight. Great, you got a referral, or you had one, you got a deal through, or maybe you referred one in and it didn't work out, or whatever it may be. Keep at it. And once you get one and you know how to answer some questions enough to just get the call scheduled, because you don't need to be an expert on it, for sure. As a matter of fact, I think I prefer you not to be an expert. Just get the call set up. Get the call set up. And if you do, and you build a pipeline of those referrals, 3 referrals is nothing. I'm sure Jason and Michael have, referral partners, which is what Market America is, that are doing 10, 20, maybe even more referrals. And you can imagine that the numbers start to really add up. So I encourage you, I hope this motivates you, if you will. So that's a lot of BV and IBV. Many of you may be wondering, well, if I get too much more than 5,000 BV or IBV in a week, it's going to be more than I can use. We thought of that ahead of time. You can spread out that volume each week in 2,500 increments, 2,500 BV, 2,500 IBV, which is critical. You get 20,000, BV and IBV, you don't want it to go to waste. So you want to be able to space it out. And if you have, multiple referrals, that's going to start coming in. And based upon that one testimonial I read, you see that the businesses are getting their money. So UFOs are going to start getting their money now. And that's when the excitement, I think, is really going to catch on, I hope, and continues to spread. Because, we're all incentivized to have a more time freedom, more financial freedom, and financial freedom gives you the time freedom. So I'm excited about this. I can't wait to see some of the unfranchised owners earning the retail profit, and then the subsequent checks that will follow with the volume. Just as a reminder, some of the additions that we added, we did add into the ERC area on unfranchised a referral status report, so you can see the referrals that you've made. And through the stage process, as they go to the next stage, we're sending out emails now letting you know. That way, if you're a business owner, which they're getting notifications as well from Bottom Line Concepts, but it keeps you educated through the process as well, in case it stalls or, you feel like that you need to contact the business in any way to maybe help things. But Bottom Line Concepts is great, and they take it from start to finish. This is a printable piece, and a lot of people have asked for this at the beginning. I personally don't know how successful this is, leaving it behind with a business, but this QR code does generate your unique referral link. So you can feel confident that if you do print it off, you give it to a business owner and they use this this QR code to schedule the first appointment, which is what you want to do. It's going to track you. I think we all agree, and we've talked about this before, the best way to do it is in person. You got them excited, they're interested, maybe you have it on your phone, you walk them through it, get them scheduled. Whether you do it for them right there with them or you watch them do it, getting the call scheduled is the key. Because once you leave, it may, become not top of mind, and then they forget about it. And then you got to go back to them, you got to send them a message, and it's the key is getting that call scheduled. So I'll pause here. I have some other slides about the previous stuff, but again, tonight is not about what the program is. Where I do want to get an update from Jason and Michael, where we are, time left, things like that. So I'm gonna turn it over to Jason. Jason, love to get an update, or Michael, love to hear from either one of you guys. How much time do we have left? Where do you see the flow of the procedure going now? Because I know that more and more businesses are becoming aware of it. Maybe it's even more competitive. Again, I'll let you guys speak to that, but we're in good hands. So thank you, Market American family. Please give a warm welcome to Jason and Michael. Thank you. I'm unmuting you guys. Make sure you're not muted.
Awesome.
Michael, you're good.
All right, awesome. Thank you very much, everybody. We got two names on the board. They're both Michael Glick, but one of us is Jason Bassett. My name is Michael Glick. So just a little bit about myself. So a little bit about me. I started this journey as a client, right? So I've been on the other side, restaurateur most of my career. During the pandemic, I had one flagship restaurant in New York City, another one in the suburbs of New York City. Decided to close one of those during the pandemic. And happy to say I was one of Bottom Line's first 10 clients for ERC. So my journey started all the way back in March of 2021. Bottom Line was able to help me get, a ERC refund for my business that shuttered, and as well for my smaller business that's still open today, about 15 W-2, got me about $160,000. And really, in large part, why that business is still open is because of my ERC refund. So for me, starting out as a client was just a really amazing experience. And I have ties to Josh Fox, CEO and Bottom Line for a long time, but I did become a referral partner in April of 21, shortly after we finished my filing. And I've just had tremendous success helping lots of businesses be able to get their ERC refund. And it's really, really, something that's really amazing to be able to help these businesses have that money and take it and reinvest. Me specifically, I put in a new air conditioning system. I did a renovation in my back of the house kitchen. So again, this is real dollars that can really help a business. We get caught up sometimes in talking about the commissions and the sides that we can profit from and we could do well with, but this is really all about the ability to help a business. And when you approach a business and you ask them, have they filed or have they heard of ERC? And they either haven't heard of it or they were told previously didn't qualify. It's you and your influence that's going to make a big difference in that business possibly getting a payroll refund. That's going to really change the paradigm of their situation in their business. So I'll turn it over to Jason, let him introduce himself as well.
Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's having a good night or good early evening. Thank you for finding time to join us here. Eddie, I want to say thank you. We spend a lot of time working together, and I think we've built a very good relationship, and I look forward to growing it even more. And most importantly, I look forward to meeting a lot of you at the big Market America event coming up next month. Employee retention credit, a lot of the rules have not changed, but we just get better and better. And I think something that's really important to know about Bottom Line is that we don't just qualify everybody, right? This is the IRS. It is not a toy. And I would say, 35 to 40% of people that we speak to we show them how they don't qualify. And that's important because there's a lot of people out there that just tell everybody they qualify. And that's not what the program was intended for. It's a lot of work, it's hard work, but there's nothing better than a phone call from a small business in Alabama that calls you crying how they hadn't been able to pay bills because they paid their employees, and now all of a sudden they got this ERC money and they can sort of get back on their feet, invest in their business, and hopefully grow. So I love what I do because I get to help small businesses, and I enjoy having those people reach out to me, learn, understand how they qualify, and help take them to the finish line. Eddie, I don't know if you want to put up some slides. You want to go into my favorite part of Q&A, direct the show, and we're here to play.
Yeah, I think let's try to start with some questions. I think Christine raised her hand. Let me see if you have a question. The best thing to do is to type the question in, if possible. I think that might be easier for me to manage from the host standpoint. If not, we'll figure something out, and maybe I can turn it live. But if you guys could type the question into the chat, or preferably even the Q&A, then I can read it out. While we're waiting on that, I will say that, or I have a question, let me say. So the program ends when, and what quarters are we looking at now? Or are we still doing 2020? Is it 2021? Kind of where we are there, or does it depend?
So you want me to take that, Jay? So again, the 2020, you can file up until April 15th of 2024. So there's a little 8 or 9 months left for the ability for a business to file for 2020. And 2021, we can file up until April 15th of 2025. So about 1 year and 8 months, right? The urgency is still now. It takes time to do the analysis. It takes time for the IRS to process. There have been several changes over the course of the history of ERC, and we just let our clients know that yes, there is time to file, but the urgency is great. The sooner we get it filed, the sooner they get those checks back, the sooner their money is in their account. It's definitely going to be a big difference for those businesses.
You know, I know I get calls, and I get emails occasionally, probably because I've been surfing online, or, however it happens. And most of the time they're really poor efforts to try to see if I'm a candidate for ERC. And it's actually kind of and I'm sure everyone has their process. You guys probably have a call program too, but I guess my question is, it seems to be like it's more and more, do you find that businesses are now more aware of the program, and is that good or bad?
So, I mean, it's far and few between now that businesses haven't at least heard something about ERC. There's a lot of misconceptions about ERC in general and qualification. A lot of clients were once told that maybe they didn't qualify, they didn't have the revenue decrease. And that's either because the people that advised them either didn't know about the partial suspension, in which you can qualify if government orders constrained your business, or possibly the accountants just weren't comfortable with the subjective nature of the partial suspension, right? So there's lots of reasons. Still a tremendous amount of businesses that have yet to file. And it's really what you said before, driving them to the link, driving them to make an appointment, getting them on a call with us so we can explain to them exactly all of the changes that ERC went through, but then most fundamentally, listen to them about their business, understand where they're located, the types of impacts they had, so we can understand their path towards this nominal impact if they didn't have those revenue decreases, right? So, again, lots of businesses, certainly more businesses are aware of it. Never a better time for you to refer to Bottom Line, who obviously we really pride ourselves on being an extremely reputable long-term company, 15 years in the tax recovery business. And we really focus on an ethical, conservative filing in which we're protecting our clients throughout the process.
Excellent. We've got a couple questions. That's really good to know, because I get that all the time. Well, what about these other companies, et cetera? And I was like, the IRS ever does an audit or has questions about it, you want to do it with a reputable company. Couple questions. Does the boss pay the employees I think it's, if the boss pays the employees 10,000 or more after they receive the check, I get that question. I'm not sure I understand that one. Let me go to the next one. What is a good approach for small business owners to weigh out the option of using their CPAs versus bottom line concepts?
Eddie, I'm going to answer the question in the first one.
Okay.
So the question was, do the boss give the monies to the employees? The answer is no. This money is from what they already paid them that they had to make, just because a business, their revenue went up or they paid their employees, they had a lot of additional costs that they were not prepared for. This was not just go ahead and things are the same, even though you have these extra costs. This money is to go back to the business owner, and most of them are putting the money back into the business to keep their employees employed. Right. So I think that's really important to know. As we have seen some people think that this is for individuals that are not.
Got it. And, what if a business owner says, oh, well, my CPA, or I'm going to talk to my CPA, or maybe my CPA said I didn't qualify. Is there a benefit to CPA over bottom line concepts?
No. So listen, we get this question every single day. It's the number one topic, right? The number one topic is, hey, they don't qualify. And it's like anything else. And I never, ever, ever bash an accountant. I understand where they're coming from, but we do this every day. We have a team of over 300 people at this point. We have a real good executive teams in the accounting and tax department where we sit around and brainstorm this and understand, because you're right, it is subjective. And what I always say is our goal is to quantify the subjective. So what we have to do here is understand that the accountants don't have a department for this. They're not sitting around and brainstorming. They want it to be specific, which is revenue. That's why most people that you work with, not sitting around and brainstorming. They want it to be specific, which is revenue. That's why most. Somebody's playing this. They want it to be specific, which is revenue. That's why somebody's playing this.
That do it? Sorry
Yeah.
about that.
A participant has enabled closed captioning, says. So, this is very important to think about. We sit around, we brainstorm, and again, once they sign up with us, we still send them these questionnaires that they have to fill out. And we have different protocols in place just to make sure no matter where they are in the process that we, everything makes sense of how they qualify. We're not just letting people say, hey, what happened to your business? Not applicable. Great. Congratulations. You're getting $100,000. It's not our style. We're not putting square pegs in round holes. In fact, when it comes to the mathematics, we have a 2 to 3% differential before we ask questions. We don't let people, have a 50% differential on a 941 versus the payroll and say, okay, just let it go. We ask questions. And there's reasons why that work, right? And this is really important because we want to do what's best for the client. I will say it again. This is the IRS. This is not a toy.
Yeah. I love that you have their interest. Their best interest is your top priority.
Of course.
At the end of the day, you guys wouldn't be reputable and staying in business and getting referrals if that was an issue. So I know that.
Listen, everybody knows some of the big people that have signed up with us and are promoting, or not promoting, but talking about employer retention credit. I promise you, we weren't the only firm that they looked at. Sure.
Well said. I agree with that. That's well said. Here's a good one. If a business was told, well, actually, I like this other. If they ever filed for PPP, can they still get a ERC? That was a really own question.
Yes.
Let's address that.
Yes. I think it's December 27, 2020, the update occurred where they said you can have both. Right. And again, that's another misnomer. So here are the big ones. I made too much money. That's not a factor. I took PPP. Okay, you can have both. And, my revenue didn't go down. Again, this is all strong word misinformation, but we prove it out to them because we send them links to the IRS to prove that there's other ways to qualify. For people that have put in some leads lately, you notice that the call times went from 15 minutes to 30 minutes. We don't want to be rushed. And we realized what was happening was some of the calls started to get rushed. So we went back to 30 minutes. Now, part of the reason we went off of 30 minutes is that some of these calls are 11 minutes long. And it's like, wait a second, we booked for 30, you're rushing me off the phone. It's human psychology. Well, we went back to 30. And what we did was we added to our sales team of additional questions they should ask. Because again, we don't want people to believe they're being rushed off the phone. They are not.
Okay, so it is a 30-minute evaluation call now.
Yeah.
Okay, or at least it's scheduled for that amount of time. Okay. Here's one. I'm from the Bronx. If they ever filed for what we talked about, it, can a bodega owner file for ERC credit? I think that's a convenience store, right?
Mike, you want to handle this one?
Yeah, listen, very simple, right? It's a business that, had W-2 employees. Our minimum is that 5 full-time. Any business with 1 can be eligible for ERC. Our cutoff is that 5 full-time. But basically any business with a W-2 payroll that either meets the 2 qualifications, either has that specific revenue decrease or had a nominal impact due to government orders, changing the way they operated their business, enforcing constraints on their business. Those are the 2 ways. So if we don't have that revenue decrease, we really need to find out exactly how their business was affected. When you talk about a bodega, you talk about a restaurant, you talk about a retail environment, you're talking about a business that has customers coming in, interacting with employees. There was a lot of regulations on how we could go about that. Obviously, things were very different in Q2 of 2020 than they were in Q2 2021 as things started to open up. But still, each state had their government orders. We like to stay in between them to make sure that we're protecting the client and not, falling outside of that. But again, W-2 payroll and those 2 qualifiers. And really the only businesses that, are out of consideration or fully funded by state or government, a public middle school, a public high school, a police department, a fire department. Again, those types of businesses are probably not going to qualify unless they had some sort of private investment. But really, you put up the slide before with all the different businesses that are able. It's quite expansive. It's really all just about getting them to that phone call so we can understand the different ways that we can show them their path towards qualification.
Okay, great. What if a business is told originally from a company or their CPA that you don't qualify? Should they try again with bottom line?
I think it never hurts to have somebody be introduced and have that call with one of our advisors for let us to understand. There could be different reasons why that company might not have said it. They might not have had all the facts. The advisor they were talking to may not have been educated enough on it. So it doesn't hurt to have that call again. So we're welcome to take those calls.
Great. And the money that's received, I know this has been a question, is it taxable?
So ERC within itself, the refund within itself is not taxable. The interest that they receive is taxable in the year they receive it. But what ERC is, it's a payroll refund. They're giving this business back a certain amount of money from their payroll, 2020 and or 2021. And because they're getting this refund on their payroll, they're going to lose the payroll deduction they took during that time period. This is going to create a positive flow of income to the bottom line for those tax years. And depending on their specific circumstances, it may create a taxable event. It depends upon their specific situation, but it's not completely tax-free. But again, super substantial amount of money here. And even after our fee, which is tax deductible, and any tax ramifications, there's a significant amount of stimulus that's going into the pocket of the business owner.
Great, thank you. What is the average time, and this is probably an open-ended question, from the initial call to the time that the business would receive their cash, their check? Depends, I guess.
Well, they're going to have a call with us. Assuming they sign the agreement and they're ready to go, they have to upload certain documentation. Some people can get that done in a day and a half, a few hours. Some people drag their feet, they're not as comfortable. So again, once we have all of the documentation and we're able to get it over to our tax attorneys to vet and our CPAs in order to do the calculation, it takes us anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks to come back to them with a number. And then once they have that number, they're going to sign off on an attestation. They're going to sign off on their 941X, which is the amendment in the 941. And once we submit to the IRS, that's where it's a little bit choppy. The IRS could be anywhere between 3 and 6 months. There's no rhyme and reason why they work fast or not fast. Again, we're kind of at their mercy at that point. But again, the whole process, a few weeks all the way up until 5, 6, 7 months before they're funded.
I have a question because I have the benefit of seeing all the referrals that our franchise owners have submitted and where they are, and it's monstrous. It could be 10 times that, guys, for unfranchised owners. It really could be, but it's pretty big. And I go through and I sort, and I always wonder when it says one of the statuses is docs have been submitted to the IRS. Does that pretty much mean they're going to get money? I mean, I'm not trying to hold you to it, but is that a pretty good sign that they'll get some money back?
Once we've submitted to the IRS, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So they will get their refund. There's no audit on the front side of ERC unless something is really glaring. But again, they do have the right to audit up to 3 years after the filing has been placed, same as our personal, income taxes. And bottom line is right there to offer full audit support. We don't expect a tremendous amount of audits, especially by working with us, going to reduce the chance of a red flag audit. But again, this can be a random selection. And if they are selected, then we stand right by their side and offer up any documentation they might request. It's a big part of the equation for us. Been in business 15 years. Yeah. Some of these other ERC companies, we don't know if they're going to be around in a year or two. So, one of those great benefits is that we're not going anywhere, right? We've been doing tax recovery work since 2009. And great relationship with the IRS. And again, it's just such a positive to be able to work with a reputable company that's going to protect their the whole process.
Yeah. And I just want to reiterate that for my family, the unfranchised owners, because, these businesses are just popping up, taking advantage of the opportunity. 8 months, 9 months from now, or a year from now, ERC's starting to close up or whatever, they're gone maybe, and so then you need their help and they're gone. Bottom line concepts is going to be open because, as Michael just said, they've been saving businesses money in different programs since 2009. So way before ERC was even a thing. So I think that's great. They're not going anywhere and they're reputable. Do businesses who did not lose profits qualify? And I love this one because I remember when we were first looking at this opportunity, and I remember one example was a Tony Robbins example, his revenue went up doing the Zoom sessions, but it affected his business. So I'll let you guys answer that. But, I think there's so many different reasons why businesses do qualify.
Yeah. I mean, again, when it comes to, it's not a measure of profitability, right? The revenue test is a gross revenue test comparing a quarter in either 2020, 2021 to a comparable quarter in 19. So they're not looking at the profit level. Once we look at partial or full suspension, it's about how they were affected by government orders and how they constrain their ability to commerce, group meetings, or travel. Those are those three categories, and obviously commerce is an extremely broad part of that.
Excellent.
I can talk just quickly. I could talk about my business, right?
Yeah.
My business was a to-go model. I crushed it during COVID, right? I actually bought it a month before COVID happened, and the numbers that we did during that year period was fantastic. It didn't mean that I didn't struggle mightily the entire time to staff my restaurant, to be able to deal with all of the different regulations, to be under the microscope of personal protective equipment. If somebody got sick in the quarantines, it was very scary times, and it was a really difficult time. I had the benefit of having a good model. Not everybody has that model. So again, it's not necessarily about profitability. It's about those two measures of what we discussed and how they can qualify for it.
Very well said. That's very helpful. So you're buying a lot of hand sanitizer to keep the doors open for the employees. Man, it's crazy how the times have changed and the things we've gone through. And it just, it's a breath of fresh air to start seeing these testimonials come in, because I'm like, wow, it works. Can you imagine a business getting back, 6 figures, 1 million, 7 figures? It's like, they can use it. I'm sure any business can. So the commission rate, and I know we had a little bit of a hurdle here early on because, I think I probably communicated that it's always 20%, and I know now that it's not. But regardless, your commission rate that you have with the businesses, tell us how that kind of may fluctuate depending upon various factors.
So we charge between 15 and 25%, right? 25% for those smallest companies. And as we get into the hundreds and more up to the 500, we're going to go down to 15%. Our average really right centers around 20. And that's, basically our average. And, we are not the cheapest in the industry, but we promise you that we're offering a superior product backed by a company that's going to be here to the end to make sure that they're help representing their clients, right? So with everything that we bring to the table, we think that, what we charge is completely fair, but we completely understand that there are other options out there, but you do have to be very careful with who you decide to do this with, because if you choose the cheapest model, it doesn't always end up in the best result, right? Where in life does that happen, right?
Yeah. If a business had to close during the pandemic, is the business owner still able to retrieve anything?
So some businesses closed and they kept their employees on payroll and continued to pay them, right? That was the whole purpose of the payroll protection loans and the ERC programs, right? So even if the business closed, if they didn't have any payroll during that time period, then there's nothing to calculate for the refund while they weren't paying anybody. Didn't have to be the same employees. It just has to be the W-2 and payroll they had during those time periods. So yes, and obviously if they didn't have the payroll, then no.
Got it. Do you have Spanish speaking people to handle any of the calls? Do you accept Spanish referrals? Are you guys able to staff it?
So the answer is yes. When you're filling out the Calendly, it'll ask you for if you want English or Spanish speaking. Spanish speaking is a great model right now because they're very into trusting people. So most likely the people that are bringing Spanish speaking, they know them. It's a warm lead. So there's a comfort level. Very important for what I've learned is for myself is very important when it comes to the Spanish speaking community is that trust.
Yeah. So we have some unfranchised owners that already have an established relationship with a business owner. Maybe they're a client, maybe they're a customer for some other product that we have or another service that we have. And we have some that are specialized in B2B types of services. So they're very mindful of that relationship. When they're scheduling the appointment, I know there's a place for them to add, like they could be on the call. But I know that in talking to Jason, it seems like, if they really want to be on it, you guys will accommodate. But in many cases, you feel like it's probably best that the person's not, just because it may be an impediment to getting the information or and whatnot. But how do you guys handle that, or what do you suggest?
Okay.
How to relate it?
I'm going to be honest with you. I get it, right? I get it. I understand where everybody's coming from. But we do this every day in and out. And from my experience, when that third person is on the phone, they're trying to figure out what the prospect is thinking. And they start asking certain questions. We, from doing this every day, we have a game plan on every call. We don't just go in and hope. We have it laid out, and we've redone this over and over based on time and experience. Where we know certain questions we're asking, we know the answers before we even ask it. We just want to get to the answer we want because that just makes them understand it. If somebody is adamant about it, I'd like them to have a conversation with me, right? But I really am against it. Am I okay with having a follow-up conversation to discuss it? Yes. Of course, want feedback. But from my experience, it lowers the closing percentage.
Thank you. That's very helpful. And I can say to everyone on the call too, Jason has been absolutely great when it comes to questions like this. And then what we do, and he jumps right on it. First, we make sure the business is taken care of. They got their questions answered. We address that first. Then we come back to you, the unfranchised owner. In their case, their language, they call you the referral partner, and make sure that if you have questions, Jason's been on, I don't know how many three-way calls we've done to address that and help and encourage and make you understand, what's going on. And because nothing's ever going to be perfect, but I can tell you, I mean, Jason's always been so responsive to get right on a call, jump on it. If he's got to contact somebody at the company, like it just gets handled. So rest assured, there's confidence there that I have. And you
I think there's enough RPs or franchise owners or whatever, unfranchised owners. I forget the wording.
That's good.
That have, come to you and said, hey, I'm not sure about something. And You know, I've made it very clear to the team, you know, when someone gets $50,000, we don't say only $50,000. The last time I checked, somebody gives me 50,000, I'm excited, right? And
Sure.
so, and I think I've taken this approach with you, right? I know I speak to you on quote unquote a high level,
Yeah,
but it was just 2, 3 weeks ago that we had one of your franchise owners in Buffalo, right? Had deals of 7 people.
right.
It doesn't matter, right? What's our role? To help American small businesses.
That's right.
So, and what we've seen experience to continue this conversation is if I have the conversation, there's some private information that's given, and you can be best friends with someone, but some of this information is private,
Right.
right? I prefer that you follow up with them after. Hey, once in a while, they're going to say, I didn't understand it. Okay, great. You caught the miscommunication. Let's get on another call, even if it's someone else. Let's have another conversation. We
Yeah.
do that call together. Some people are not going to want to share some things because they know you,
Good point.
and maybe they went through some hard times, right?
Yeah, good point.
You know, it's all about human psychology of, and I have this conversation a lot of people feeling quote unquote embarrassed, right? You know, I love to always talk about those people with the big houses, but you go inside and there's no furniture. You
Boiler,
know,
boiler.
it is like, you know, this is a private conversation. There's some really sensitive data.
Yeah,
Guy can walk around like he's making $500,000, but he might make 50,000.
right. I
Right?
think the point is very well taken, and for unfranchised owners, I think you can rest assured it's going to be taken care of. But then, if you want to circle back or you have any questions, I've always tried to make myself accessible to all unfranchised owners. Why? Because ultimately it's my job, but also I'm an unfranchised owner, so I want you to be treated the same way I would expect to be treated. We have the same goals and the same desires and the same struggles at times and the same successes. So I believe the same, color blood you guys do. And so I'm going to go be an advocate for you. And I've called Jason sometimes and be like, hey, what is going on here? Like I'm your voice. And then once I find out the answer and, then we circle back around and communicate back to you, the unfranchised owner. So again, rest assured, I'm available and I'm a great conduit to Jason. We text every day or talk every day. So,
so I want to add something here, right? You know, you just said it. When someone says to me, what's your role at the company? I say, I'm the head of the NFL Players Association. Yes, I'm an employee of the company, but what's my role? My role is to maximize the success of the referral partners. And how do I do that? By making sure they're happy, right? I always like to say about our top team is that we're all scrappy. We don't just pass things to other people to get an answer. Just get it done.
right.
Renee Smith has a question I want to bring up right away, and that's about the businesses with less than 5 employees.
That came up in the chat too. I was bringing
Okay.
up. So it's a double.
But let me go there, okay? So we have another group that I understand from Market America's point of view that you have to have something for everybody. I get it, right? You have different type of franchisees and you got to keep them all happy. But we have another group that they fought us tooth and nail on this, and they wanted the under 5. And I will say 9 months later, we joke how they wish they listened to us. Because when you're under 5 employees, a lot of them have family members that work for them. And at some point, you have to weigh risk reward of how much money you're going to get, what your tax liability is, what your cost is to pay the accountants, right? There are a couple of costs involved here. And I will tell you that would I help you if you said, hey, Jason, how do you think this company qualifies? Yes. But the under 5 employees, it's a really hard game. They don't get to the finish line most of the time. They just don't have time. They're doing everything in their business. And you're just going to end up spinning your wheels. Renee, you have questions about it. You have businesses. I will tell you, if I believe from what I know, weak case, strong case. But we had to make a decision of where we had to stop, and we picked 5.
Makes sense.
And again, no problem. I always tell people, don't tell them they don't qualify.
Right.
That's not fair.
Right.
But unfortunately, their best bet is their accountant. And I'll give you reasons to bring to them of how they qualify to their accountant. but we unfortunately cannot do it in-house.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. That you answered the question. I think it's, if they have interest, maybe to get their answers, they could get some answers from you through the evaluation process. They can go to their CPA and say, hey, we only got 3 W-2 employees, but we'd still like to file whatever that amount of money is going to be, and they make that decision themselves. But I think your point of view there is very helpful to understand why it's 5 versus 3.
Look, I always say, right, someone taught me a long time ago, can I curse for a second?
Yeah, I mean, I think
Okay.
it's
Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one, right? I
yeah.
live my life based on experience, right? So I know it's hard to take this under 5 thing,
Mhm.
but I have the experience in when I give my answer. I want to help everybody,
Mhm.
but at some point it became too much.
Understood. Got it. But again, your point of view, because you're always been very candid. I won't say honest, because we always expect people to be honest, but you're very candid. And I believe exactly when you tell me something, I know it's true. So appreciate that. So this is actually a good one. They're looking for help, advice, suggestions about getting the business owner to submit their paperwork.
Mhm.
The RP or unfranchised owners getting emails from the bottom line, touch base with 2 referrals, see if they can move things along, get the owner to upload their files. She's done so, and get responses such as, I'm working on it. And she's not, probably didn't want to pester them, but what more can she do?
Okay. So let me handle this, Mike, because I've been very involved in this on a whole company level. Okay. What I've learned over time is that, yes, we want these people to upload right away. I'm not trying to scare anybody away, but not everybody's organized.
Yeah.
Not everybody has things at their fingertips. A lot of people play multiple roles in their business. And what we have seen is that it goes out 60 days, right? So people are submitting their docs over 60 days. Yeah, there's a good chance it's really going to fall off. But 1 to 60 days, we're not seeing an issue. And I know nobody wants to hear that because of instant gratification. But again, this is real paperwork. This is not buying a $197 product online because they like it, right? So just everybody has to keep that in mind. Now, if you have questions about certain accounts, reach out and say, hey, what was the last communication you saw? We will get you answers to that. We will give you the communication you need to help you make your decision. And use your gut. 70% of your gut is always right. I'm learning that in the dating world, right? Got to use my gut, not listen to anybody else.
Yeah.
But sorry, guys.
No, that's good. We got one. The owner asked if you can send me an email from your company. We do have some sample emails that we basically got from you guys, I think, from where you guys had on your site, and we provided them in what we call our back office of unfranchised. So I think that's the answer there. There are some sample emails there. I would just say you may want to, redo it, customize it a little bit, et cetera. I'll go and look at those, but I think we do have that in our learning center. So you should feel confident that you can do that. I don't know that an email ever got anybody through the hoop, but if they're asking for an email, maybe to legitimize it, if you will, I don't know. Those are there. Let's see. We have Japanese Thai restaurant. Who can speak to them? I would say, I mean, we don't have a lot of Japanese speaking individuals here at the company, but if I could find somebody, maybe we could help them to translate. But maybe they have someone that speaks English as well that could help them just kind of understand the evaluation process, would be my kind of suggestion. When the ERC program winds down, do you foresee future opportunities to partner with Market America and bottom line concepts on new business ventures? I can answer that with a big yes, because everything is checked off the box, and they're great people to work with. So when Jason said, they're kind of can-do guys, I refer to the same thing that we are here. All the executives here, from the people that started the company to management team, everyone on our team rolls up our sleeves and does whatever it takes. People ask all the time what I do, and I'm like, oh, one day I may be doing a strategic partnership, legal agreement, et cetera. On Tuesday, I could be parking cars or washing windows, like whatever it takes, you know? And I'm an unfranchised owner, so trying to build the business as well. But sure, we have a great relationship with Bottom Line Concepts, and if there's other opportunities, we'll continue to look at that. And we are looking to add more business-like services to our suite of offering, just because, you know, I see the success in this. We have web centers that we have, you know, other individuals that are selling payroll, you know, processing, transaction processing and websites and things like that. We have our Shop Local program. So we also have a connection to local businesses, and sure, we'll want to continue that. How do nonprofit organizations qualify? And do they need to have 5 employees? Leave that to you guys.
So they would qualify the same way that Jay, want to mute. They would qualify the same way that a for-profit business would qualify. It's still the same parameters, right? So again, it's still the same questions about the revenue decrease as well as the partial suspension.
Got it.
And as far as the 5W2, it stays true throughout.
Okay. I saw another one up here. Physical therapist owner said worked with someone else and said their check was stolen. Have you heard of this kind of thing happening? I think I understand the question, that the IRS sent them a check and the check was stolen. Not sure. Let you guys answer.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the IRS is sending refunds through the mail, right? And you know, anything can happen when you talk about 2 of the greatest organizations of the United States. That's the Postal Service and the IRS, right? So anything can happen. Obviously, we've seen it all at this point, but we have our methods and our ways of communicating with the IRS if there's any sort of issues. And nobody is allowed to deposit somebody else's check. It's a fraudulent act. So again, we can handle anything that comes to us, and if something gets lost or something gets misplaced, we can you know, there's a process with the IRS that we work with. And we have an entire department that helps us with that.
Okay, I'm answering one question here. They like the rainbow that you guys have with all the names of the big companies that you guys have worked with. So, you know, we could maybe make that available in the right circumstance. I wouldn't do that without talking to Bottom Line Concepts, but I put a message in there to contact me. For a business owner who works with a bookkeeper, can the bookkeeper talk with Bottom Line Concepts on behalf of the business owner? Or must the initial call be between Bottom Line Concepts and the business owner?
It really depends upon the bookkeeper's knowledge of what happened with operations. Certainly a delegated contact can discuss with us their path to qualification. There will need to be an authorized signer for the agreement. But then, of course, if there's an employee that knows the ins and outs of the business, you know, and can help us understand their path to qualification, then absolutely.
Great. And maybe for my own edification, on that initial call, and you don't need to go through it all, but is it simply determining, did they have a qualifier event during that time, and how many employees do they have? What else do you guys look for? Without, you don't have to go into all of it, because I know you guys have.
Yeah, I mean,
stuff,
it's a call journey, right? So we're going to start out and really understand, you know, about their business, what type of business they have, what type of industry, what state, PPP loans, revenue decrease, the type of impacts. We're going to explain ERC if they're not familiar with it, even if they have a somewhat familiar with it. We really want to make sure they understand exactly what the program is all about and the ways they can qualify. And we're going to spend a good amount of time really trying to understand the items they tell us. We're not there to tell them how they qualify. We're there to listen to them, to understand their impacts and make a correlation between government orders and how they may qualify. And also make them feel comfortable that they understand the process, right? That once we know that, okay, we can agree that we believe that this is a business that qualifies, that, you know, we're first going to send out an agreement. We're then going to provide a portal to upload documentation, the specific documentation, and exactly what happens from there on out until the point that they're funded from the IRS.
Okay, great. Well, I know you guys are planning on being at International Convention, and I think it's great because you'll get some of these similar questions for maybe people that weren't, you know, have access to the webinars. Hopefully everyone, my goal is this, and with this webinar and any that we do moving forward, as well as at International Convention, is simply to get those of you that know a business owner to make that introduction, schedule the call. Even if they, don't want to schedule the call, you expose the program to them. Maybe they say no, but if you keep asking, there's that saying, you get 8 no's, the next one's going to be a yes. You just have to socialize it with those business owners that you either know or that, like I said at the beginning, maybe you spend money at. It's a good place to kind of start and think about it. The dentist office is one. I use that example early on, and Jason has a bunch of them, that how dentist offices have been really good business owners to get some significant funds back. But it's also, to get you out there to get that first referral, but also those of you that have had a successful referral, why not go get more? I hope that you were motivated and excited, because I truly believe that if you're able to schedule that one call and it turns into a successful referral, they're getting money back, there's no reason why you can't do another one or 5 or 8, because there's going to be certain people that have an affinity to doing it, because we all have a certain skill set. Maybe you're more adept at one-to-one. Some people are, may have another method, whether it be on the phone. But at the end of the day, if you've had one referral and you've gotten successful, there's no reason why you can't go out and get more. You've done it once, you know what it takes to get it done. So I'm really hoping that, I know by international convention, we're going to have people that have gotten money back and unfranchised owners that have significantly earned both retail profit, business volume, which business volume for Michael and Jason basically equals commissionable checks, not only for that person, but it affects people in their organization. And if they get volume over, I mentioned, the 2 or 3 referrals or one referral that's got a lot of volume, getting a good check, that volume can be placed in their organization. And there's business rules behind it, but when I say placed in their organization, it basically means that more people are getting credit for that same volume. And it's crazy how our model works, but that's the synergies in it. So I know that by international convention, we're going to have that happening, and it's going to catch on like wildfire. We're going to start getting more testimonials. We're going to get more success stories. And so I just want everybody on the call to be part of that success story. And the fact that Bottom Line Concepts is going to be there, there's a really good chance we may do a breakout. We haven't finalized that. And when I say a breakout, it's like this, Jason. It's a study session, but it's real interactive because you got people in front of you. But I really want people that, hey, if you're an unfranchised owner and you've tried it and maybe you're just not good at reaching out to a business, find somebody in your organization that is. We had that as a thing that we always talk about. I have people in my organization that sell a ton of makeup. I don't know anything about makeup, I really don't, but we have people that do in my organization. I'm benefiting from their efforts and the business volume. You can do the same thing here. Find somebody in your organization that is they'll walk into a restaurant or a business and they have a lot of contacts. So nothing's stopping you. I really am just trying to encourage you to go out and give it a try. Get that call scheduled. Don't get, just like the business, people try to figure out all the ways that it won't work, all the reasons why they shouldn't do it. At the end of the day, just do it, because if you just get started, getting out the gates. I think Mark actually said that yesterday in a big meeting that we're in. We're trying to figure out all this stuff, and he goes, guys, we just got to get out the gate. Sometimes it's the hardest part. You just get out there. That's the process of learning. But you got to start somewhere. So we have a lot of really good tools in the Learning Center on Unfranchise. I encourage you, if you're not familiar with them, go there, because we have FAQs. A lot of these questions we've already addressed. And so, use that. And then just get out there and run it up the flagpole, if you will. All they can say is no, but, it may be a maybe. And you may say, hey, what's 15 minutes of your time? It's worth it. You owe it to yourself to give it the 15 minutes. Your business deserves it. And, take it from there. Again, once you get that call, Bottom Line Concepts really does all the work. So you just got to get the call scheduled. Let's see if we got any other questions. I'm getting off my sandbox.
Mike, hey guys, I'm sorry, but I have to go to another
Oh, it's not.
Meeting.
I'm
Hold
sorry.
on. No.
I'm sorry.
Eddie, I told you before, if people want to stay on and ask questions, Michael's here. I
Yeah.
promise you we're at the same table on the opposite ends. But I'm gonna let you guys stay on, please.
Thanks,
More
Jason.
questions, the merrier. That's how we
Thank
all get excited, learn, and get better.
Thank
Michael, see you at 8:45 tomorrow morning.
you. See you. Thanks again, Jason.
Bye,
I
guys.
think that's pretty much it. I'm just looking, make sure we covered everything. Yeah, again, Michael, I really appreciate your time. It's great to have someone with even another perspective, but more importantly, for everyone that was on the call, I want to say thank you for your time, because time is a valuable asset. I got 2 young kids at home. My time is valuable, but this is important to me. And so thank you for sharing this time with us, and more to come. You guys know how to get in touch with me. And if you don't, I'll just put it out there, Eddie@shop.com. And I'm a direct connection to both Michael and Jason. We'll get your questions answered, ultimately educate you enough to get you motivated to go out there and make it happen. So thanks again, everyone. Appreciate your time. Have a good evening, and we'll see you at International Convention. Good
Awesome.
night.
Thank you so long, guys.